Here on the Palouse, winter weather has really taken a hold of the area. King says the police don't have any leads yet, but she says the rebels have received a tremendous amount of support from the community. Police in both Pullman and Moscow say one of their most common crimes are vehicle prowls, so be sure to keep those doors locked. The active shooter was shooting off blanks like these, which are just as loud as the real thing. When it comes to haunted houses, the scariest place on the Palouse is here in the town of Palouse. You can actually buy maggots like these at some stores. A lot of people use them for bait. Reptiles are more friendly than you might think. Boa constrictors like this one here have never killed a human. Lichman says the star of his show is 13. He's a 16-year-old Tennessee walk-in horse. Recently, the Whitman County Prosecuting Attorney's Office announced that they will not press criminal charges in the case. That's right, a lot of people are still confused about the new marijuana laws in Washington. So the Whitman County Sheriff was invited to City Hall to explain what's happening with Initiative 502. Let's take a look at what Sheriff Brett Myers had to say. The Senate State Affairs Committee approved the Guns on Campus bill with a 7-2 vote on Wednesday.
If none of the universities want this, why is it happening?
The University of Idaho currently prohibits students from carrying guns on campus, except for in very rare circumstances. This bill would allow enhanced concealed carry permit holders to bring firearms to class, while prohibiting them in residence halls or entertainment venues that hold more than 1,000 people.
Not one chief in the state of Idaho presently, other than Idaho State, has stated they want this bill to pass.
Moscow's chief of police, David Duke, was at the state's capital to deliver his testimony on the bill, but he wasn't given the opportunity to speak.
Those people who have the ultimate responsibility of safety to this community have been disregarded.
Chief Duke says he plans to submit a written copy of his testimony so the Senate State Affairs Committee fully understands his concerns. Now we're on the University of Idaho campus to find out what students think about the bill.
It's not going to work. It's very unsafe for us. It's scary for us to really think about that.
And I don't think students should have firearms on campus just because we are known for being a party school and accidents can happen.
U of I student Max Cohen is the president of the school's student government. He was also in Boise to speak out against the bill, but never had the chance to voice his opinion.
This is an issue that the students should be able to decide. It affects students, it's on our campuses, and we should have the power to be a part of that decision making.
U of I interim president Don Burnett was able to speak on behalf of all 8 university and community college presidents about their concerns.
If we have multiple guns on campus and these responders have to show up and decide who's the bad guy and who's the good guy when there are multiple firearms in an incident, it does not enhance campus safety. In fact, it raises real problems.
President Burnett and Chief Duke agree that campus firearm policy should be up to universities, not the state legislature. In Moscow, Rachel Dubrovin, KLEW News.
Another item into the repertoire of drinks doesn't hurt anybody.
There seems to be a new trend in the adult beverage industry.
Cider kind of resides somewhere between beer and wine. It's technically a wine in terms of its production and the licensing for it, but it's packaged and served more like beer.
Electrical engineer Trent Meyer had always been a fan of the drink.
I've been making cider since I was in college.
And after doing some research, Meyer and his brother-in-law decided to dive into the industry and create the Whiskey Barrel Cider Company.
Not only did it match my personal interest, but it looked like it was going somewhere, the industry itself, and that seems to be holding true so far.
The cider is made at this winery off of Airport Road, but the owners wanted a better way to sell their product. That's why they opened up shop here on Bishop Boulevard.
We decided to invest in the residents of Pullman, not just the typical college student draw, but people who live here should have something to enjoy too.
The cider house isn't just a tasting room for their carefully crafted beverages.
Nothing but fresh ingredients. It's got just a touch of sweetness, although I would not describe any of our ciders as super sweet.
It's also a family-friendly restaurant.
And kids can have our fresh juice and color on our interesting coasters.
And even though they've only been open a few months, they already have loyal regulars.
I like to show up after a hard day's work, get a nice cold cider. I always like to try the new ciders they have, and my favorite is the Damn Hard.
In Pullman, Rachel Dubrovin, KLEW News. Well, Veronica, as the Palouse reporter for KLEW News, I spoke with some of the hardest workers in the Pullman-Moscow area to find out what motivates them to do what they do. Idaho Law enrolled 110 first-year students this fall, which is about an 8% increase from the 102 students that were admitted in the fall of 2012. The moratorium will last until March, and the council hopes the State Liquor Control Board will be able to settle on some more definitive laws by then. Reporting in the studio, I'm Rachel Dubrovin. It should be an interesting night for high school football, especially here in the LC Valley. Both Moscow and Pullman are coming down from the Palouse to play Lewiston and Clarkston. At 3-3, the Moscow Bears are looking pretty good this year. Head coach Phil Helbling says they've had some disappointing losses in 3 very close games, but they're ready to give it their all tonight against the Bengals.